Lyon is considered the food capital of France, and what better place for a tasting than the local markets? For food lovers, these markets are like a dream come true. They're fromageries, patisseries, restaurants, fishmongers, butchers, which are some of the best in all of Lyon. So I think it is now time to tantalise the taste buds. This massive indoor market has more than 50 stalls, showcasing the finest of French gourmet produce. Now this is the thing, there are so many good cheeses in France, but I've heard, what am I looking for? Here we go. These are the 2 local Lyonese cheeses. Meant to be amazing. Merci beaucoup.
Have a good day.
Now, of course, you cannot come to France without visiting one of the local bakeries and getting yourself, hello?
Hello?
A French baguette. 1 baguette, please.
Yes.
Oh, they look sensational. Merci.
Bonne journée. Au revoir.
So this is one of the great things about travelling through France is that if you can just embrace the way the French do it, simple, sensational food that just tastes fantastic. Voila. This market is named in honour of Paul Bocuse, one of France's most famous chefs, said to be the inspiration for the animated film Ratatouille. And speaking of movies, Lyon is also renowned as the birthplace of cinema. Back in 1895, the world's first movie was actually filmed right here in Lyon. It was done by the Lumiere brothers, and they filmed factory workers leaving their factory. So the plot, it wasn't overly complicated, but I have to say, I've got to thank them because if it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be filming here today. And one of the best places to film or take pictures in Lyon can be found in the most unlikely of places.
So something Lyon is also very famous for is what you see just there on your right-hand side. Look at this big, massive wooden door there. There is something really secret on the other side. If I push this button, now you can push the door.
Yeah.
And look what you see there. It's working, maybe?
There we go.
Now you discover the very famous traboules of Lyon there.
The secret passages of
Yes,
Lyon.
very secret passageways here.
Known as traboules, these passageways were used by silk weavers to transport their wares across the city, where they'd be exported via the rivers.
So basically we have hundreds and hundreds of them everywhere here in the city. I would say between 500 and 600 of them. Most of them are close to the public. So basically all around us here are apartments, and still today people are living here. So that's why I'm telling you we have to keep a little bit quiet there.
God, it's quite ingenious.
It's
the
a
way
really
that they
genius
used to run
idea.
the city,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And today it is unique to Lyon. You will not see that anywhere else.
When travelling with Scenic, you can of course have a guided tour like me. But if you prefer to explore the traboules in your own free time, there's now an app that will guide you straight to them. I wonder what the Lumiere brothers would think of that. For those of you with a sweet tooth, there is one more place you have to visit while in Lyon. Chocolat Voisin is a chocolate shop that dates back to 1897. And one of their specialties is a local delicacy, the Lyon cushion. Is it all right for me to taste?
Definitely. Have a taste.
It looks sensational.
Definitely.
All right, it's very beautiful. So chocolate on the inside and marzipan?
Just a little bit of curacao, which is the name of the liquor. And she said that it's 70% black chocolate and the rest is almond paste.
And with some chockies for the journey, it's time to embark on our river cruise. My home for this journey is the sleek, scenic Sapphire. With a maximum of just 147 guests, there's a reason why it's called a spaceship. There's plenty of room to make this cruise comfortable and thoroughly enjoyable. This is my luxurious balcony suite. So you've got great access to the river and all the view as it goes past. And then inside here, you've got a really well-sized bed, bathrooms through here, and then you've got a fully stocked mini bar, and it's replenished every single day. Our first stop along the Saône River is the ancient historical town of Beaune, deep in Burgundy wine country. In the 15th century, wealthy nobles were encouraged to donate money to the church. But one noble thought his money would be put to better use by building a spectacular hospital for the poor, Les Hospices de Beaune.
So, the most photographed site in Burgundy, in France, and one of the most photographed sites in Europe.
That's a big call.
It is, but it is one of the most popular sites to visit in Europe. It was in 1443 that the Chancellor to the Duke of Burgundy stood here and declared he was going to build it.
Yep.
Brought the Flemish artisans here to make the most glorious rooftop imaginable. And it became the colors of Burgundy as well. 1452, it opened its doors as a charity hospital to the poor, and it was the only hospital in Beaune until 1971.
This whole setup seems extraordinarily extravagant for the poor.
It is. Imagine in the Middle Ages, the poor were in rickety huts, dirt floors, and straw mats to sleep on. This was really giving them a palace for the poor and giving them the luxury to show how beautiful and comfortable heaven was going to be.
Art was also commissioned to inspire patients to repent their sins before going to heaven.
This amazing masterpiece is from the Gothic period. Masterpieces of this kind are mostly hanging in the Louvre.
Right.
Very rare for it to be in its original building that it was commissioned for.
Although many medical practices have changed over the last 580 years, thankfully, one tradition has stood the test of time here in Beaune. From the time it opened, the hospice received donations of wine, and over the centuries, this grew into France's largest charity wine auction, which still happens every year. One seller that donates their wine is Maison Joseph Drouin. Poppy, what I'm looking at right now is extraordinary. I haven't seen it anywhere else in the world.
Well, it's pretty amazing. So we have here a press that dates back to the 16th century.
Right.
So the amazing thing about it is it still works. It's the original press that the monks used to use to make the wine.
Right.
And the family now use it here for celebratory vintages.
Wine traditions run deep in Burgundy, very deep. Beneath the streets of Beaune lie a secret subterranean world. Over a hectare of wine cellars dating back hundreds of years. Poppy, I feel like I'm standing in an underground cathedral.
That's exactly where we are. So the monks built this beautiful cellar in the 13th century. And what they wanted to do is really build a church for their wines. So the wine back then would have been a very holy thing. They would have served it at Mass. So literally they built a church underground for their wines.
So if practice makes perfect, what does 800 years worth of winemaking history produce? Oh wow, isn't that nice? It's really, really smooth.
It's incredibly rich. So it's very typical of the Chardonnays that we make here.
One of the things I love about travelling with Scenic is that once you're on board, it's all-inclusive. And tonight, it is truffle night. So Johnny, where do these amazing truffles come from?
The truffles are coming from, especially from southern France. From my point of view, they are the most amazing truffles.
Tonight's menu features truffles in every course, including dessert. A chocolate fondant with truffle-infused chantilly cream. It's not just the menu that's ever-changing. There are so many shore excursions to be enjoyed. Well, this is the spectacular south of France. An example of that incredible wealth is Chateau de Cormetin, which was built back in 1606. For hundreds of years, the chateau played host to the rich and famous of France. But in the 20th century, years of neglect brought the chateau to the edge of ruin. That is, until some unlikely saviours stepped in. The chateau is in such beautiful condition. Tell me about the restoration.
Actually, it started in 1980. Three friends who had this crazy idea to buy such an old place and to restore it. And they put all their, time and, it's really, something which came from the heart because they are really in love with this chateau.
Pierre Albert is one of those friends. Pierre, what led you to purchasing it?
Je crois que c'est surtout qu'on était très jeunes.
In fact, we were young. We didn't really realize what we are doing. We wanted first to buy a house and to restore it. But yes, we didn't realize how much we would have to put into it.
La réflexion,
if you think too much, you don't act.
With the help of the donations of 60,000 visitors a year, the daunting task of restoring this gem continues to this day. You have done an exceptional job. It is very beautiful. Very well done. We're now heading back downstream, and the waters of the Saône have joined those of one of France's greatest rivers. This is the Rhône River, and believe it or not, the water that is flowing through here started originally in a glacier in the Swiss Alps and flows all the way down to the Mediterranean Sea, a distance of over 800 kilometres. But today, it's taking me through this incredible region of France. This is the village of Tournon, and we've timed our visit perfectly because today is market day. Pierre, I love this French way of life. The markets, the fresh produce, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, especially here in Ardèche, The Rhône Valley, is nicknamed the fruit garden of France. Warm and sunny, so that's great for cherries. And the specialty here is the apricots and the French lavets.
And the French dogs, they of course.
Yeah, even the dogs love the food, you see. And they love good food, just like the French people.
Tournon is also very proud of another local invention, the wire cable suspension bridge. Suspension bridges did already exist, but Marc Seguin's invention was to use wire cables, which were much stronger and more durable. To this day, some of the world's most famous bridges are constructed using this technique. So how old is this bridge, Pierre?
It dates back to the 1830s. Before the invention, there were only 3 bridges across the Rhône River on a distance of more than 300 kilometers between Lyon and the Mediterranean.
Wow.
So thanks to that new technique, it became much simpler and much cheaper to build bridges.
Scenic has arranged to round out the day at an exclusive event just for us guests. This is Chateau de Tournon, and I'm here for a very special scenic experience, a sundowner on the terrace of a 15th century castle. Overlooking Tournon, this medieval castle was home to wealthy lords for half its history, and for its other half, it was a prison, only closing in the 1930s. With so many interesting stories here at the castle, it's hard not to think who else has actually stood up here on the terrace overlooking the Rhône over the years. I'd like to think that this is my little moment in history. Back to Getaway, where Scenic Sapphire has arrived in Avignon, an ancient city with roots spreading back to the 1st century. We've seen how suspension bridges have revolutionised life in France. But for hundreds of years before, bridges would constantly have to be rebuilt after wars and torrid weather. Camille, what happened to the rest of the bridge?
Well, the bridge actually fell down because of the floods of the Rhône River. The Rhône is extremely powerful. So when the bridge was made, it was more than 900 meters long and 22 arches. And nowadays we only have 4 of them left.
The Benazzi Bridge took 8 years to build, starting in the year 1177, and was considered a marvel of its age. And what was the bridge predominantly used for?
Pilgrims going from one country to the other, because actually we were in County Provence, and when you would cross the bridge, you would go to the French kingdom. So the French kingdom was opposite side.
So obviously a really, really important part of Avignon history.
Absolutely.
It's such an icon here.
It is.
500 years after it was originally built, the Benezet Bridge fell into disrepair, left for the Rhône River, and for us as a striking landmark. I'm back on Scenic Sapphire to prepare for an Avignon pilgrimage of my very own. As part of the luxurious experience that you get to have on board, every suite has its very own butler service, which is handy because tonight I have dinner in a palace and you've got to look your best.
Service. Good afternoon, Mr. David. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Luigi. Here you go.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
As soon as possible, I'll bring it to you, sir. It's
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
You walk through all the narrow alleyways here in Avignon and then come out into this courtyard, and what a sight. This is Palais du Pape, and for 60 years it was the papal capital of the world. Not Vatican City, right here in Avignon. And over its history, 7 popes called this place home. The Pope's Palace is one of the most magnificent Gothic palaces on earth. From here, the Holy Roman Empire was ruled with an iron fist. But tonight, it's the scene of an exclusive scenic and rich event. A gala dinner put on just for us and accompanied by a private classical concert. It's the perfect way to celebrate the midpoint of our spectacular South of France cruise along the Rhône River. Well, just like the Rhône River, this is an experience that just lets your whole body go with the flow.